Hey guys, Mark here. I just want to give a quick heads up. I don't know why we keep doing this, but we keep forgetting to promote David Cross's podcast whenever he's on the show. So make sure to listen to the Award Wieners Movie Review podcast. It is a lot of fun. They talk about movies that have won Best Picture Academy Awards, and they combine them with hot dog recipes, Oscar Mayer hot dog recipes. It's a lot of fun, a lot of research, super informative, and it'll make you hungry. So after this podcast, go check out the Award Wieners Movie Review podcast. Thanks. Hello and welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who would be really angry if his whiskey got turned into blood. It's David Cross.
Oh, I love whiskey and I hate blood.
All right, so this mummy's out. He's summoning locusts. He's summoning sand. He's boils and all that. But if I woke up one day and my whiskey collection somehow magically was turned into blood, I would be very angry at this mummy.
Yeah, I think that's why everyone went after him.
I would
They
consider.
didn't want to save their own lives.
I would team up with Evie and Rick and all them to battle the mummy, because I have very good whiskey in my collection, and I don't understand how that happened, because listen, we love this movie. How did the whiskey they were drinking get turned into blood?
Magic?
Yeah, I mean, that's the end. I mean, obviously it did, right? So it's not just the water. So yeah, just everything turned. That's crazy. That's power right there.
But it could have been the water in the whiskey was turned to blood, which is a joke that the liquor was watered down.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You just solved it. You just solved it.
I solved it.
Oh my gosh. I can rest easy.
Yeah.
I can
But
now.
I had that
Wow.
same question, Mark. I was watching it and I go, well, how did that turn to blood? And then I went down this rabbit hole. I was like, all the other things that had water in it would also be turned to blood. And I was like, they should have had a bath scene where like someone soaking in water that turned to blood. You know?
Because, I mean, movies love baths. Like horror movies, this isn't really a horror movie, but horror movies do love baths. Teeth, Nightmare on Elm Street, A Quiet Place. A lot of bathtubs in cinema. Slither. This would have fit right in.
Can't have a horror movie without a bathtub.
Now, I have some very good news for you, and I think you're going to have to run around your block for a little while after I tell you this news. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready for it. Okay.
The Mummy, 1999, directed by Stephen Sommers, now has a 60% tomato meter score, which means it is fresh. So for
Yes!
21 years, so whenever the tomato meter was created, it's been rotten. Now, it's not certified fresh, but like Deep Blue Sea, which is at 60% now, both of these films are fresh. There's no longer a splat next to their names.
You know what kind of blows my mind?
What?
I never realized it was rotten.
So we did a tournament on movies, films, and flicks, and it was rotten movies of the 1990s, and each person picked 5 rotten movies, and we had 32 people enter the tournament. It was a lot of fun. I
came in second.
Oh, yeah, you did. I had the Mummy on my team. I had the Mummy, and I lost, and I don't get it, because I love the Mummy, and I don't even know how the Mummy is rotten. I don't see what there is about it that could be. Maybe you could treat it as slight material, but it's a fun yarn. Maybe people were grumpy when they watched it and wrote the reviews, but I don't understand how this is a quote unquote rotten film. Do you?
No, not at all. I think it's a very loving homage to Indiana Jones.
And we were discussing this probably a couple weeks ago about how we're going to talk about this movie, because I think there's a problem when two people who we love this movie, and I have a history with this movie. So I listened to the Everything Wrong with It in 21 minutes, and he pointed out some things in the movie that are legit flaws. So the Magi, right? The Ardith Bay, they are not good at their job. They are very bad at their job. This is a curse that could kill humanity. And they're like, yeah, you can stay for 24 minutes, like a few more minutes. Like, here's this book. Like
Here's my response
you know what I mean?
to that.
Are they good at their job?
I would say that if you kept the mummy, not the mummy, actually, what are we going to call him? Because he's not a mummy.
Let's just call him the mummy.
The mummy, okay, we'll get to this later, but he's not a mummy, but Imhotep. They kept Imhotep secret for 3,000 years. They defeated a regiment of French Legion. I would argue that they're actually pretty good at their job. The problem is that they can only mess up once.
Well, all right. Jeez Louise, man, you just keep shooting holes through all my nitpicks here, because I really don't have any. So you just...
What nitpicks? Yeah, There's no nitpicks in this movie. This movie's perfect.
I just got defensive over my whiskey, and then... I mean, these guys got a bum job, too. They just sit out in the desert waiting for people to go to Hamunaptra. That's a pain in the butt job. And I also feel bad for Hook, who is killed on the boat when they attack to get the book. So these are good guys. Yes, they murder people, but they're trying to prevent the world from ending. I get it. Hook was doing his job. And a funny thing mentioned on the commentary, Stephen Sommers mentioned this, that he gets lit on fire. And 2 minutes later, he's still on the boat running around on fire. So for 2 minutes, this is a tough man who's running around on fire for 2 minutes, and he chases Jonathan before getting shot and killed. What was Hook doing whilst on fire for those 2 minutes? He could have jumped in the water.
He was trying to put himself out.
He should have jumped in the water.
But he was committed, Mark.
But
he was committed to saving the world.
Is he committed? Like, what about living and fighting another day? Listen, you and I are the bosses, right? We've been doing this. We've been at it for years. I mean, Hook has already lost a hand I presume, right? He's lost a hand doing his job somewhere. So the guy's committed. He gets lit on fire. And we're like, hey, how come you didn't stay on the boat? I was on fire. Fair enough. You get a pass on this one. Would we punish him for that?
No. I wouldn't.
I feel like, Ardith Bay, he's a great action hero too, and they were going to kill him off, and they brought him back for the sequel because they like him so much. But he's a good boss. I think he would have been like, Hook, I get it. You were on fire for 2 minutes. Like, take a break. Relax. You're going to need gauze.
We need veterans.
Yeah. We'll talk to you in 6 months when you're able to get out of the full body cast because of the fire. Like, we get it, right? I just feel bad for him.
I feel bad for him too. I think there is something to say that logically they're maybe not great, but they don't want to kill people. They're honorable. It's like, all right, Rick escapes at the beginning and wanders into the desert. They're like, he made it out. Let him go.
Yeah. Now they are killing people, but those people could in turn destroy the world. So nowadays we couldn't have this movie because they'd be like, well, we can't kill you can't kill 6 people to save 7 billion. The world doesn't work like that. Like, these guys don't care about that. They want to save 6 billion by killing 3,032.
Yeah. I have a thought experiment, Mark.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
The police are coming to get me for it as well. Do you think we are following arguably the villains of this movie?
Okay, so that's a very good point, because Brendan Fraser and Evie and Jonathan, they are repeatedly told, don't go there. Now, Evie has a bone to pick, right? To her credit, she does not believe that a 3,000-year-old mummy was with the pharaoh's wife, and he was tortured so horribly that if he came back, he would destroy the world. Now, I'm thinking it is the pharaoh's guards and the pharaoh's... Well, no, the pharaoh was killed. I'm thinking it was the pharaoh's personal guard who are at fault. Because why didn't they just torture him for like a year and then kill him? Why give him a curse and then keep everything in one spot and not split it up? You know what I mean? They're basically...
I do. I think I might have an explanation for this, because I have the same idea. And the problem with this film, as we understand it, is that if you bring this thing back to life, this mummy back to life, he becomes essentially all powerful. So why hasn't someone else just killed themselves and brought themselves back to life to take over the world? That's my thinking behind it. From what I understand, and from what Reddit tells me, which you can't always trust Reddit, is that this has to do with Egyptian religion and afterlife, and that essentially the afterlife was viewed as so important that they didn't want to give the mummy the opportunity to be judged as doing well in life and getting a good afterlife. So they kept him from the afterlife.
Wow.
Yeah, which is totally lost. And I think that's a perfect question to ask, because I went down a rabbit hole trying to read about this, and I'm like, oh God, I got an hour to read about Egyptian religions.
Now, they never say that in the film, but that's a pretty good, that makes sense to me. I heard that, I'm like, yeah, I get it. That's cool.
Yeah. But because I had that same question multiple times. Even when I first saw this movie in 1999, I was like, this seems like a pretty bad idea.
So how old were you in 99 when this movie came out?
Oh, God. 16?
Oh, my gosh. So what'd you think? You as a 16-year-old, what did you think?
I saw this in the drive-in theater.
Yes.
I lost my mind. I loved this movie. Are you kidding me? I loved it.
Yeah, so
99 was a good year.
Oh, such a great. I started working in a theater in 99. I was 17 when I saw this movie, and this is one of the first movies I got to watch for free, just so because I started working in the theater, and they just went, yeah, you can go watch movies whenever you want for free. And I was like, are you serious? So it was I went and watched Election immediately, and then I watched The Mummy. And then for some reason, since it was such a massive blockbuster, I mean, if you look at the inflated numbers on this film, it's 300 million plus, just domestically. Mm-hmm. So it came back into theaters, and I went and watched it twice more because I loved the massive sand wave that came at them. I liked Brendan Fraser a lot in the 90s. I thought his repartee with Evie or Rachel Weisz, I love those two characters. I thought Rachel Weisz was great. She was sort of she was a bookish character, but she also got dirty, and she wanted to, so she's the one that wanted to stay and defeat him. She's the one that, the stuff goes through her, which is quite interesting. Yeah, I dug that. I mean, also
everyone has an ability that's utilized.
No, I want to, not from I'm a 37-year-old married man, so I'm not, but as a 15, 16-year-old kid, that Patricia Vasquez in her 10 seconds of screen time had that was in the trailer heavily. So, that's some of the most influential 10, 15 seconds of screen time in a movie, would you say? With her bodysuit, the paint. Stephen Sommers said when she walked in, every screening they did, when she walked into the theater, there was a round of applause. For some reason, that shot, I hate using that word iconic, but that in 99, if you saw a movie trailer, you probably thought she had a bigger role. But we did a podcast about 60-second characters, our favorite, who made a big impact, and I would say she would fit in that category.
100%. Absolutely agree. And I think that is what caused her to be brought back in the sequel.
Did you hear so on the director's commentary, did you listen to that?
I did not. I want you to tell me about it. I'm actually kind of excited for this.
So it's pretty cool. So Stephen Sommers said that he's like, yeah, we're gonna bring her back for the sequel. They hadn't even, I don't even think they had filmed it yet, and they just said, yeah, she's coming back. So Stephen Sommers loved her in that movie, and her and Vosloo, they knew they had minimal screen time together, so they got together and they worked on a few things that would give their relationship. Because I listened to all 3 commentaries on this Blu-ray.
Oh my god!
They worked on, but we've been planning this for a month, 2 months, something like that. So it's been good. They worked on some, when he brushes his hand over her face, they just came up with that. And he does that later on in the movie. So I thought that was pretty neat. So yeah, she was just in there for a little bit, and Stephen Sommers just straight up said, yeah, I'm bringing her back. Also, I learned that, so guess how long it took for the opening CGI, guess how long that took to make?
Oh god, that's so hard, because we're talking about 1999 years.
So Industrial Lights and Magic. So, and then also Bob Duke Say was on it, and he was awesome. On the commentary, he's the editor.
9 months.
2 years.
What?
Yeah, and so I love listening to these, so Event Horizon, this, Deep Blue Sea. I love listening to the commentaries for films around this time, because Driven with Rennie Harlan, they're talking about how long each shot took 20-some years ago. And I love, 2 years, man, for that opening shot. 2 years.
You could have just painted a matte background in like a week and done it.
Exactly. I mean, but like I love like on Grosse Point Blank, 10 years, man. So it's like 2 years. And I also learned that